Dear Chosen One, if you are watching this video, understand this. It is not by chance, and certainly not just because you clicked on a video. You were drawn here for a reason, because heaven has something urgent to tell you. Your eyes were drawn to the number 555 in the thumbnail, a divine spark that has compelled you to be here now. In the Christian faith, this number often symbolizes God's grace, transformation, and a season of divine change, as it represents the overflowing mercy of the Lord and His call to embrace new beginnings under His guidance. This number is a sign from heaven that God is speaking directly to you for the first time in this extraordinary way, unveiling His chosen path and the breakthroughs He has prepared for your life. Do you feel a stirring in your spirit, wondering if those repeated glimpses or inner promptings are heavenly messages tailored just for you? Are you prepared to unpack the profound truths God is sharing, the shifts He is orchestrating, and the purpose He is igniting within you? If this resonates in your heart like never before, step forward in faith and proclaim it. Comment 555 along with your city or country. Share your location as you align with this divine appointment. Chosen One, stay with me as we explore what God is saying and receive the anointing He has reserved for you. Now, let me ask you this. Why does it feel like you've been getting signs all week, but you kept brushing them off as coincidence? Why have your dreams suddenly become more vivid, more symbolic, like someone's trying to reach you from beyond the veil? Because they are. This moment right here is heaven's confirmation. This isn't just another spiritual video. This is a divine transmission. There is a warning inside it, but also a wild, beautiful promise. A promise so precise, so timely, so disruptive to the status quo that only the chosen will be able to carry it. You're not on the verge of receiving motivation. You're about to be entrusted with divine directives. This isn't the start of a new chapter. It's the beginning of a wholly new mission. Your environment is transforming, and so is your identity. For the first time, God has spoken this message, and He chose you as its recipient. Stay with me. Don't turn away, because what follows will unravel everything happening to you now and everything awaiting you next, right now, in a moment suspended between heaven and earth. Something unprecedented is unfolding. Not merely unusual, but cosmically singular. For the first time since the breath of Genesis was spoken over chaos, God is delivering a message unlike any ever uttered. Not through prophets clothed in sackcloth, not etched in ancient tablets, not encrypted in visions shared behind veils. This isn't a riddle for scholars or a metaphor for theologians. It is untamed, it is alive, and it is erupting directly into your reality. This message pierces through centuries of divine protocol, landing unfiltered in your spirit because you are not merely one of the masses. Deep down, you've always sensed this, even if it was never named. The fire within you refuses to fade. Have you noticed how your once familiar routines now feel alien, as if you've outgrown the confines of your former self? Why do you feel a restless expectancy in spaces that once felt secure? This isn't a psychological quirk, it's a spiritual awakening. You've been marked, set apart. Heaven has cut through the clamor. And this message is meant for you, not for your accomplishments, but for the destiny you were always meant to embody. Judges chapter 6 verse 12 states, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior," in the story of Gideon, the least of his tribe, hiding from enemies. God appeared not with sympathy but with identity. God didn't describe Gideon's reality. He declared Gideon's destiny. Do you feel like you've been hiding too? Not from enemies, but from your own immensity. What if God's message isn't waiting for you to be ready, but is arriving because you already are? Though you don't see it yet, this is not a metaphor or a fleeting sentiment. A seismic shift is stirring in the unseen, a divine urgency pulsing through the currents of time. The moon, radiant in its fullness tonight, is more than a spectacle. It resonates like a celestial drum, calling out to spirits honed in quiet endurance. Can you feel the alignment? The invisible tide flowing beneath the surface of the familiar John chapter 1 verse 5 confirms. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. This verse isn't ancient history. It's alive in this moment. The battle between light and shadow has reached its peak. And God isn't raising spectators or scholars. He's summoning warriors, forged in struggle and refined in stillness. You, yes you, are being entrusted with a sword. But what will you do when it burns in your hand, a truth too potent to ignore? Consider Saint Joan of Arc, a young peasant who heard God's call, challenged empires, and led armies. Her words echo through time. "I am not afraid. I was born to do this." Dismissed, doubted, condemned, yet etched in eternity, not for perfection, but for obedience. Could your courage spark something eternal too? Isaiah chapter 6 verse 8 recounts how Isaiah, overwhelmed by his own inadequacy in the presence of the Lord, responded without hesitation when God asked. "Whom shall I send?" he declared. "Here I am. Send me." Isn't that same cry stirring faintly within your heart? In a remote Moroccan village, a woman named Ayla ran a modest school without electricity for 14 years. Many called her naive, yet, during a pandemic, her students became the region's only literate health translators, saving countless lives. She didn't chase prominence, she followed an inexplicable pull. Could your steadfast persistence be the key to someone else's salvation? Then there's Daxton, a man whose name is little known but whose impact is profound. For years, he toiled unnoticed in a cold factory, crafting parts for machines he didn't comprehend. One day, those parts were linked to a satellite system that detected a tsunami before it struck, saving thousands. Daxton never saw the waves, but his quiet dedication changed the world. Are you willing to labor in the shadows for what heaven will illuminate? Imagine the migration of geese, soaring not by sheer effort, but by riding unseen air currents, lifting one another through instinct, timing, and unity. You are being carried now by a precise, invisible force. Your alignment with the divine is no accident. It's deliberate and irrevocable. This isn't mysticism or exaggeration. It's the moment the veil parts, and God speaks a singular truth through your life. What happens if you ignore it? What happens if you say yes? Heaven is holding its breath. 7 days. That's all. not symbolic days, not poetic exaggeration, but an actual divinely encoded stretch of time where heaven is weaving new architecture into your reality. Can you feel the pressure in the air? Not the stress of your to-do list, but something deeper, as if the fabric of your inner world is shifting without asking your permission. Why does everything you once tolerated now feel suffocating? Why are your dreams sharper, your emotions raw, your timing stranger? Because this is not coincidence, this is convergence. God has activated a timeline shift, not by accident, but by intention. You're not observing this shift, you're at the center of it. For 7 sacred days, a divine stream will flow through the earth, unseen by those asleep but undeniable to the awakened, those aligned in heart, mind, and spirit will feel lifted, not by effort, but by a sacred pull toward their true purpose. Are you noticing how what once drained you now glides by like a breeze? Acts chapter 2 verses 1 to 4 describes how the early believers gathered in an upper room, and the Holy Spirit descended like a mighty wind, not a metaphor, but a tangible force. Tongues of fire crowned their heads. They didn't anticipate a moment that would reshape history, but it came because they were aligned. Can you remain present these next 7 days? Not chasing miracles, but recognizing you are the miracle in motion. 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7 affirms, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." This shift isn't making you stronger. It's unveiling the strength you've always had. The fear you thought defined you is fading. The doubts that droned like static are giving way to a clarity as old as Eden. You're not evolving, you're rediscovering. John chapter 11 verse 43 recounts when Lazarus was called from the tomb. He didn't negotiate or demand proof. He simply answered. Jesus didn't ask him to be worthy. He commanded him to come forth. This week, heaven is issuing the same call to you. Step out of your old identity, out of hesitation, out of numbness. Will you recognize the voice when it echoes like your own thoughts awakening in a quiet coastal town in southern France? A woman named Mare endured decades of illness and isolation, but 7 days after a vivid dream of light encircling her spine, her healing began in stages within months. She was traveling Europe, teaching others to release trauma through breath and prayer. She didn't seek the spotlight. She simply responded when her spirit rose within her. It's not just about healing, it's about ascending. Dr. Miles Monroe, a revered pastor and leadership voice, once declared, "The wealthiest place in the world is the graveyard, because in it are buried dreams that were never fulfilled." His words ignited souls trapped in unfulfilled intentions. What dreams within you are waiting for just 7 days of alignment to rise again in a corner of Nairobi? A boy named Amani possessed a peculiar gift. He could sense emotions like a change in the air. It frightened his family and brought shame at school. But a dream urged him to stop hiding and start blessing others. His prayers over strangers led to an orphanage being saved from closure when one of those strangers, a lost donor, found their sign. Could the trait that once made you feel excessive be the very force that shifts the world? Have you watched a snake shedding its skin? It doesn't panic or cling to what no longer fits. It simply leans into the instinct that something bigger is waiting on the other side of surrender. These next 7 days will ask that of you. Are you willing to shed what the old you depended on? Even if it means walking into territory with no map. This isn't hype or esoteric fluff. This is a countdown, sacred and irreversible. It's why synchronicities have intensified, why the same numbers keep showing up, why your body feels electric some nights and hollow the next. These are not flukes, they are signals, marking a precise entry point into the you that's always been waiting. So don't miss this window. The next week is not just a shift in time, it's a holy convergence where the veil will thin. The voice calling you won't shout, it will whisper like thunder. When it ends, your old self, the version of you built in survival, masked in perfection, tangled in fear, will be gone. In its place will stand the version God always saw, forged not in ease but in fire at this very moment. The full moon stands at the apex of its ancient cycle, radiating a frequency that once stirred prophets awake in the wilderness and parted seas at the appointed hour. But unlike then, now it's your turn. This isn't merely lunar beauty or astrological intrigue. It's a divine broadcast woven into light. The same force that sways oceans is now murmuring in your core, urging you not to merely watch but to act. How many let this moment slip by, dulled by the clamor of a distracted life? The tragedy isn't the absence of the signal, it's that so many are out of tune. This moon isn't idle. It pulses like a cosmic heartbeat, carrying a vibration crafted for your transformation. Yet, your soul, though yearning, is surrounded by interference, guilt, shame, the need for approval, cycles of comparison, like a sacred receiver tuned to celestial waves. Your spirit can't catch the signal if it's cloaked in bitterness. Has your truth been drowned out by someone else's narrative? 1 Kings chapter 19 verse 12 describes how Elijah, desperate and disillusioned in a cave, expected God in the earthquake, the fire, the wind, but the Lord wasn't in any of them. He came in a still, small voice. Are you listening for the loud while ignoring the sacred quiet? What if your greatest instruction is encoded in silence? Waiting for you to clear space, you are energy, precise, intelligent, divine. The moon tonight, at its radiant zenith, isn't just illuminating the sky, it's speaking. Coded light is bathing the earth, carrying messages to those willing to detox the static and listen. Will you unplug from noise long enough to receive what heaven is now broadcasting in the Scottish Highlands? A woman named Aveline lived off-grid, tending sheep with only stars and scripture for company. One harvest moon, she sensed a vibration that became a vision. The next morning, she penned a prayer that years later became a global anthem for peacemakers. Her voice sparked a movement, not through volume, but through alignment. Matthew chapter 5 verse 8 confirms, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." It's not intellect that discerns divine timing, it's purity of alignment. Could your distractions be veils shielding you from the encounter that changes everything? Bishop T.D. Jakes, a renowned preacher and cultural architect, once declared, "If you can't figure out your purpose, figure out your passion, for your passion will lead you right into your purpose." His words, spoken in a season of despair, became a thunderclap that revived millions. What if your passions aren't reckless impulses, but signposts to your sacred calling in the Andes Mountains? A man named Elias awoke nightly at 2:22 a.m., hearing an indescribable sound. He thought he was unraveling until, under a full moon, he felt compelled to sing into the void. Those notes, born from nowhere, were recorded by a passing hiker and shared online, eventually soothing refugee children across the globe. Elias didn't pursue significance, he surrendered to a moment. Do you know how sunflowers behave when the sun disappears? They turn toward each other, sharing warmth and light, as if remembering what direction life flows. That's what you're being invited to do. Not perform, not produce, but align with the energy that remembers who you were before you were wounded. This moon holds a once-in-a-generation frequency, not a metaphor, but a literal shift. It will not wait. It will not repeat. If you miss this alignment, your destiny isn't cancelled, but it may be postponed. Because when Spirit sends the invitation and you don't RSVP, the banquet continues without you. Can you afford that delay? Let's be clear. This isn't for everyone. This message, this exact moment, is a royal dispatch for those marked by heaven's highlighter. You felt it. The pull to simplify, to turn away from glittering distractions, to walk alone if needed. That's not rebellion. That's recalibration. It's not ego. It's assignment. God isn't looking for people with flawless resumes. He's looking for those who've been refined in obscurity, misunderstood, underestimated, rejected, but who never let the oil dry up in their lamps. You are one of them. You're not late. You're not lost. You're just finally aligned. You were never forsaken. Not once. You are being shaped in silence, in shadows, in seasons that seemed barren. Beneath the surface, foundations were laid for something so rare that heaven itself paused in anticipation. Your delays were not denials. Your wounds were not disqualifications. They were training grounds. Every scar on your heart is now a badge of spiritual authority. Your pain was never wasted. It was prophetic. So here it is, the clearest message heaven has released in this generation. The call is not coming. It's already here. But will you answer it? No more silencing your voice or shrinking into the margins of your own life. You are not just a face in the crowd. You are a living key. Divine doors remain locked until your yes is spoken aloud. What if heaven's movement is paused, not because God is late, but because you're still hesitating? What parts of you have gone silent? Not from peace, but from fear. What if the world's current ache is waiting for your healing to resonate? Esther, chapter 4, verse 14 recounts Mordecai's words to Esther when the threat to her people grew unbearable. Who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? Do you see it now? Your timing isn't random. Your positioning is intentional. What if you were born into this chaos because you carry what this moment requires? These are not ordinary days. Time is stretching and collapsing at once. Emotions feel wild, not because you're unstable, but because your spirit is trying to decode instructions being downloaded faster than ever before. This isn't stress, it's spiritual velocity. 1 Kings chapter 18. 46 describes Elijah outrunning Ahab's chariots after fire fell from heaven. You're being equipped for speed. Can your logic keep up with your calling in Lisbon? A woman named Isadora grieved a child's loss for a decade, finding refuge in silence. But this year, in a dream ablaze with golden fire, she awoke speaking unfamiliar words, later identified as ancient Hebrew. Those words became a song sung by survivors in Jerusalem. She had no blueprint, only obedience. Have you underestimated what your brokenness could become when offered without pretense? Matthew chapter 5 verse 14 declares, "You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden." Your light isn't ornamental, it's revolutionary. Darkness only prevails if you dim what heaven ignited in you. Is your hesitation dimming someone else's clarity? Dr. Bernice King, daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and a fierce advocate for justice, once said, "Some are waiting for a sign, but sometimes you are the sign." Her words remind us that destiny isn't something we wait for, it's something we step into. Could your presence in the right moment be the answer to someone's silent prayer in southern Chile? A fisherman named Rafael, after surviving a brutal sea storm, began sketching visions seen in the waves. One image, hands holding back waters, was discovered by a pastor and became the emblem for a national disaster relief mission. Raphael never sought fame. He captured what he saw. Observe a hawk soaring. It doesn't flap frantically, but glides with grace, letting the wind lift it. That's you now. You're not called to strive, but to flow with the momentum building beneath you. Can you trust that you were made for such heights? Everything is accelerating. What once took a decade will now take weeks. What once crawled will now soar. Relationships, revelations, awakenings, all arriving in divine fast forward. You've been feeling off balance because walking is no longer your mode. You are made to fly. Matthew chapter 14 verse 29 recounts how Peter stepped onto water. It was only impossible until he stopped calculating and started moving. God is not launching the qualified, He's qualifying the launched. Your activation isn't future tense, it's now. The trembling you feel isn't weakness, it's spiritual ignition. This isn't a fleeting phase, it's a once-in-a-lifetime alignment. A sequence set in motion before your birth, now reaching its spark. Don't retreat, don't delay. Release the waiting, let the current carry you. This isn't a time for logic, it's a time to embody light. They call it a virus, biological, invisible, relentless, claiming it's sweeping through streets, cities, families as a mere medical phenomenon. But beneath this lies a deeper invasion. It's not just cells or lungs, it's minds, spirits, hearts being subdued. It's not just illness, it's surrender to control. While headlines shout symptoms, heaven murmurs of loyalty. What if this isn't merely a health crisis, but a battle for your devotion? Fear has become a commodity, confusion a staple, reliance on systems over spirit, the new standard. Why do so many bow to voices amplified by microphones while ignoring the Almighty's whisper? The true contagion isn't in the air, it's in the soul. This isn't about pandemics, it's about power. Power that subtly persuades you to relinquish what was never theirs to take your spiritual sovereignty. Can you still hear God amid the world's deafening roar? Daniel chapter 3 verse 25 recounts how, when the furnace was lit and the music played, everyone bowed except Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They refused to surrender to the king's golden image. God didn't keep them from the fire. He entered it with them. Could it be that your resistance is not rebellion, but revelation? Heaven walks closest with those who won't kneel to fear, while society spirals into chaos. You, the chosen one, are being summoned into sacred stillness. You're not being called to argue theology or defend opinions. You're being called to anchor reality in unshakable truth. The virus may touch bodies, but spiritual apathy devours nations. Have you noticed the world forgetting who they are? Children of light, and instead chasing crowns made of likes, titles, and trends. Exodus chapter 32 verses 1 to 4 describes how Aaron crafted the golden calf. The people weren't looking for evil, but for something visible to worship. In doing so, they traded revelation for representation. What golden calves have replaced God's voice in your life? What voices have become louder than the one who designed your destiny? In Ohio, a school janitor named Darren stayed silent during lockdowns, but began placing scriptures on post-it notes inside students' lockers. Months later, one student revealed a verse saved her from suicide. Darren's role wasn't ministry, but his presence was medicine. Could your quiet faithfulness be the remedy someone has been praying for? Romans chapter 12 verse 2 urges, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. This transformation isn't theoretical, it's unfolding now, burning away the layers of who you pretended to be to reveal who you've always been. Have you felt it lately? That inexplicable blend of exhaustion, yearning, fire, and divine flow. That's not burnout. It's spiritual ignition. Your cells are aligning with your soul's awakening. Katherine Johnson, the brilliant mind behind NASA's orbital mechanics, said, like what you do, and then you will do your best. She didn't merely love math, she was called to precision. Her brilliance broke through racial and gender barriers because it was rooted in a higher purpose. She didn't chase glory, she carried light into systems that feared it. Is your gift destined to shine where others hide in Lebanon's hills? A woman named Rana gathered children in her backyard during crises, offering no curriculum, just a candle and her grandmother's stories. Those evenings became a haven of healing, where trauma dissolved and joy returned. She was never ordained, she was simply obedient. Isn't that all God requires? Observe how rivers carve stone, not through force, but through persistent flow. That's you. You weren't sent to battle the world, but to carry a frequency so steady it reshapes reality without apology. You are the current, You are the shift. God is not seeking passive consumers of spiritual content. He's calling those who embody the cure. You are not here to imitate light. You are the light. While the world chases solutions, you are becoming the solution. Have you realized that what you saw as weakness, your sensitivity, your fatigue, your fire, is sacred recalibration? The pressure in your body, the racing heart, the ache in your chest, these aren't symptoms of illness. They're signs of awakening. Your DNA is tuning to heaven's frequency. Every cell remembers its purpose. Your spirit burns brighter because your mission is no longer optional. The soul cannot stay silent when God amplifies purpose. The hunger within isn't for food, success, or validation. It's a craving for raw, unfiltered truth, a yearning for alignment so pure it ignites. Your old life no longer satisfies because it was never meant to sustain the emerging you. That fire in your chest isn't anxiety, it's divine spark. It's what it feels like when God breathed this directly into your core, declaring, you're not crumbling, you're breaking open. Can you feel it? That sacred pressure, the discomfort that's not pain but passage. What if the tightness in your chest isn't a breakdown, but the birthplace of your transformation? Are you willing to trust what feels illogical but deeply spiritual? Genesis chapter 32 verses 24 to 30 recounts how Jacob wrestled with the angel at Peniel. He walked away limping but blessed. He wasn't being punished, he was being renamed. Could it be that the limp you've been carrying lately is the signature of your destiny? What if your exhaustion is the echo of heaven at restructuring your identity? Now is the moment to embrace your symptoms, not fear them. Hydrate, breathe, speak life into the body, hosting your rebirth. Rest, but don't retreat. You're in a soul's growth spurt, like gold in a furnace. This heat isn't here to destroy you. It's here to reveal your purity. Will you lean into it? Even when it feels overwhelming, the moon right now doesn't just glow. It electrifies the atmosphere. This full moon portal isn't spiritual fluff. It's a coded season. God often uses nature to herald new beginnings. Exodus chapter 3 verse 2 describes how he used a burning bush to summon Moses. He is now using frequencies in light and vibration to call forth his modern-day deliverers. Are you tuned in? Are you still enough to hear what's whispered beneath the noise in Prague? A retired violinist named Gabriel began hearing music in his sleep during a full moon cycle. At first, he dismissed it, but then he transcribed the melodies. Weeks later, his music scored a film about grief and healing. It wasn't ambition, it was obedience. Could the inspiration stirring in your heart be part of a divine assignment? You can't receive this next chapter by accident. The frequency is not passive, it's interactive. You must rise to meet it. Set your intentions, clear your space, speak your goals aloud. Dance under the moonlight. Fast, pray, write, walk barefoot in nature. Breathe gratitude like it's oxygen. Why? Because heaven is searching for those awake enough to say yes. Not someday, but now. James chapter 4 verse 8 promises, draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. This isn't about perfection, it's about presence, but presence demands purity. Fear, jealousy, bitterness, gossip, These aren't just emotions. They're signal jammers. They cloud your reception right now. God is broadcasting destiny with precision. Will your signal be clear or cluttered? Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts once said, God is not intimidated by your brokenness. She's right. Your worthiness was never in question. Only your readiness is. Are you still seeking permission? Or are you ready to claim what's already yours in a northern Japanese village? A young woman named Akiko planted seeds with handwritten prayers in each hole. Locals thought her strange, but during a national drought, her garden flourished inexplicably. Scientists were baffled. But she explained, I prayed with my whole being. Are your prayers mere words or a living force? Observe the butterfly's emergence. It doesn't struggle out. It dissolves in darkness. Reshaped by surrender. That's you now. You're not being punished. You're being refined. The separation you feel isn't rejection. It's purification. People may fade from your life, and familiar places may feel foreign. That's not abandonment. It's alignment. Not everyone can follow where God is leading you. That's not cruelty. It's clarity. Will you grieve what's leaving or celebrate what's arriving? This is the great sorting, not by status, but by spirit. God is marking his leaders, not the loudest or most visible, but the most faithful. Those who choose integrity in private, who embrace truth at the cost of comfort, who move with quiet conviction while the world clamors for attention. You're not losing people. You're shedding what can't bear the weight of your calling. You're not being punished. You're being positioned. The fire within is God sculpting you into something unbreakable. You were never meant to blend in. Your existence shatters patterns, breaks molds, and pierces illusions. You are the divine disruption the world didn't see coming. A sacred anomaly in a system designed to lull souls to sleep. Now, more than ever, you must embrace it with unyielding conviction. In a culture obsessed with appearances, your authenticity is defiance. Your integrity is a revolution. Can you stand firm when the cheers fade? You may walk alone, not because you're unworthy of companionship, but because your calling demands clear ground. What if your isolation is preparation, not punishment? What if your solitude is the soil where sacred clarity blooms? Do you feel that shift? When your voice carries a deeper certainty, when choices feel like instinct rather than anxiety? That's not chance, it's alignment. Orchestrated by unseen realms, the spiritual fog is lifting. The veil between dimensions is thinner than ever. You are hearing sharper, feeling deeper, knowing faster. This isn't hustle energy. This is holy energy. You're not chasing anymore. You're attracting, not because of charisma, but because of resonance. Can you accept that you are becoming a magnet for everything your prayers whispered in the dark? Acts chapter 9 verses 3-9 describes how. When Paul was struck blind on the road to Damascus, it looked like a setback. But in that blindness, he received the blueprint of his mission. What feels like confusion in your life may actually be divine recalibration. People, ideas, opportunities, love, they're flowing toward you now, drawn not to the version of you that performed or pretended, but to the radiant truth of your essence. Can you embrace being fully seen? Can you let the masks fall? even at the risk of being misunderstood. John chapter 1 verse 5 reaffirms, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." Your glow is unsettling shadows. The attacks you faced, the doubts cast upon you, they're not failure, they're evidence. Heaven is signaling that your radiance is no longer optional, nor is your rise in Morocco. A poet named Fatima was told her words were too intense, too spiritual, too raw. She silenced herself for years, but one night, she shared her unfiltered truth at a small cafe. A tourist translated her lines into German, and months later, her poem anchored a peace summit in Berlin. She didn't force her moment. She stopped shrinking. What are you holding back that the world needs? Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5 reveals, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I set you apart." You were never meant to be a copy. You were chosen to break cycles. A divine disruption. Are you dimming what heaven demands you display? Oprah Winfrey once said, "When you know who you are, you don't need to prove anything to anyone." Her path was forged through ridicule, yet she shone by embracing truth, not chasing approval. Could the very thing you're mocked for be what heaven has anointed in an Icelandic coastal town? Elizabeth ran a silent tea house, believing quiet was healing, a grieving guest, seeking refuge from a storm, left transformed, later writing, "Her silence healed me louder than 1,000 words. Her presence spoke without words." What does your presence say when you're silent? Observe a volcano before it erupts. Calm, majestic, unshaken. The pressure within is unseen, but the shift is certain. That's you now, carrying a force too vast for the familiar. Not everyone will understand, and that's fine. Their unease isn't your cue to dim. It's their call to awaken. You're not starting a chapter. You're entering a river. Swift, wild, holy. Rivers don't apologize for their flow, nor should you. Move with divine rhythm. Stop explaining your frequency to those tuned to fear. You are a mirror, and mirrors are rarely welcomed by those dodging their reflection. Some will question your motives. Others will call your growth arrogance. That's not rejection, it's revelation. Your light exposes what others aren't ready to see. Let them misunderstand, let them judge. But don't dim your flame to warm others or mute your truth to soothe those clinging to illusions. You weren't made to dim, you were made to blaze. Your presence was forged in fire, and your light needs no permission to shine. Can you see what's unfolding? The moment you embrace your power, resistance intensifies. Whispers grow louder as your soul begins to sing. Why? Because alignment with the divine amplifies the noise of opposition. But noise isn't a threat, it's confirmation. The attacks prove you're activating frequencies the darkness can't decode. You're not here to fight back, you're here to radiate. Let their judgment sharpen your humility, their gossip refine your grace, their doubt fuel your resolve. What if every adversary is merely an unwitting witness to your awakening? Isaiah chapter 54 verse 17 proclaims, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." This isn't a metaphor, it's a strategy. Heaven isn't just behind you, it's your armor. You've been sent as a signal in a generation drowning in soulless noise. In a world chasing influencers and platforms, God is raising those whose power lies not in their stage but in their presence. Are you willing to lead without applause? You don't need a title. Your clarity is your credential, your alignment, your authority. When you enter a room, your frequency speaks before you do. When you release truth, it doesn't just inform, it transforms. When you move in spirit, heaven responds. Miracles aren't for the elite. They flow through the obedient. Could the miracles you're waiting for be waiting on your courage? Judges chapter 4 verses 4 to 10 describes how Deborah rose as a judge in Israel. She didn't seek permission. A wife, prophetess, warrior. She led when no man would. Her authority came not from status but from surrender. What if you are the Deborah of your generation? Holding strategies, not for acclaim, but for alignment in the bustling city of Melbourne. A young barista named Michaela worked quietly behind the counter of a small, cozy cafe, her hands moving with practiced ease as she poured steaming lattes and cappuccinos. Each day, she took a moment to scribble brief, heartfelt phrases of encouragement on the paper sleeves of coffee cups. Her words anonymous, her intentions pure. She didn't seek recognition or applause. She simply felt compelled to share light in a world that often felt dim. One of her messages, written in a fleeting moment of inspiration, read, "The world may forget your name, but heaven never has." That simple sentence, scrawled in her neat handwriting, found its way into the hands of a grieving widow who had just whispered a desperate prayer for a sign of hope. The words pierced her heart, a divine answer to her silent cry. And soon the message spread, shared across social media platforms until it went viral, touching thousands with its quiet power. Michaela never preached from a pulpit or stood on a stage. She poured coffee and, in doing so, poured life into others. Her small act of obedience became a ripple that turned into a wave, a divine interruption in the lives of strangers she'd never meet. What seemingly insignificant act of faith could you offer? One that might become someone's unexpected lifeline. Psalm chapter 11 verse 3 asks, "When the foundations are being destroyed, what can the righteous do?" The answer is clear and unwavering: rise. Step forward with courage, act with intention, and trust that your faithfulness, no matter how small it seems, can shift the course of someone's story. When the scripts of your life, those familiar patterns and expectations you've clung to, begin to crumble, it's not chaos, it's a divine revision, a rewriting of your narrative by the hand of God. You weren't created to tread worn paths, to follow the predictable routes laid out by others. You were designed to forge new trails, to carve out spaces where others feared to venture. The life that feels like it's unraveling, with plans falling apart and certainty slipping away, isn't a mistake or a failure. It's a sacred undoing, a holy dismantling of what no longer serves your purpose. Can you embrace the chaos, trusting that it's construction in disguise, a rebuilding of your life on a foundation of truth? Sir Ken Robinson, a visionary in education, once declared, "If you're not prepared to be wrong, you'll never come up with anything original." His legacy wasn't built on playing it safe or conforming to broken systems. It was rooted in bold disruption, in challenging norms not to rebel, but to restore what was meant to be. His courage to question and innovate reshaped how the world viewed creativity and learning. Could the discomfort you're feeling, the unease, the uncertainty, be a sign that you're finally stepping into your true blueprint, the unique design God etched into your soul? What if your restlessness is not a flaw, but a call to create something new, something only you can bring into existence? In a quiet town near the Canadian border, a man named Elias spent years carving wood by hand, working alone in the stillness of nature, with no shop, no online presence, just the trees and the passage of time. He believed his hands were guided by God, each stroke of his chisel a prayer, each piece a testament to his faith. One of his sculptures, a majestic lion with wings, crafted with intricate care, found its way onto the desk of a non-profit leader. That single piece, born from Elias's silent devotion, became the emblem for a justice campaign that inspired thousands. Its image a symbol of strength and freedom. Elias never sought fame or visibility. He simply stayed aligned with the quiet call within him, trusting that his work had purpose beyond what he could see. Could the creations you craft in solitude, the ones you pour your heart into without expectation of reward, become symbols that resonate across nations? What if the quiet acts you dismiss as insignificant are the very ones destined to carry divine weight? You are not in a mere transition, moving from one phase to another. You are in the midst of a profound transformation, a complete redefinition of who you are. Transformation doesn't offer comfort or ease. It demands surrender, a willingness to let go of what's familiar to embrace what's divine. Observe how a snake sheds its skin, slowly, silently, inevitably. It doesn't resist or cling to the old layer. It allows it to fall away, trusting that the new skin beneath is ready to breathe, to carry it forward. What are you still holding on to? Habits, fears, identities that your soul has already outgrown. In the next 7 days, expect divine interruptions that shake the foundations of your life. People may drift away, plans you meticulously crafted may crumble, and the future you envisioned may shift. But what if this isn't loss? What if it's leverage? A clearing of space for something greater? What if the breakdown you fear is actually a blueprint, revealing the parts of your life that were never built on truth? Are you willing to welcome the plot twist? To trust that the unexpected is part of God's design for your destiny? Don't fight the shift or mourn the noise that accompanies it. Instead, flow with the current. Even when it feels turbulent and chaotic, God is weaving a new narrative, one so bold and beautiful that it defies your wildest expectations. The most astonishing part is this: you're becoming everything you once feared was too good to be true, too grand to claim. Lately, you've been feeling strange, haven't you? Like your entire being is a construction site, wired with energy one moment, weary to the bone the next, glowing with hope only to find yourself weeping without warning. There's a hunger within you that no meal can satisfy, a tiredness that sleep cannot touch. This is not malfunction or failure. This is transformation, the sacred process of becoming. Your soul is stretching beyond its former limits, aligning with a divine frequency that your body is still learning to hold. What you're experiencing isn't dysfunction, it's divine design, a holy recalibration of your entire being. This is what it feels like when your soul steps into a vibration faster than your physical form is accustomed to. Your nervous system is expanding, adapting to carry the weight of divine revelation. Your breath is recalibrating, learning to flow with the rhythm of your higher calling. Your spirit is soaring, reaching toward a purpose that feels both new and ancient. Could this discomfort, the tension, the fatigue, the rawness, be proof that you're finally becoming the version of yourself you were born to remember? What if the exhaustion you feel isn't depletion, but a divine download, a transmission of truth and power flooding your being? What if the ache in your chest isn't anxiety, but the tremble of new power activating your heart space, awakening you to the fullness of who you were always meant to be? You're not falling apart, you're shedding. Think of a caterpillar dissolving completely into mush before becoming a butterfly. You're in the sacred in-between, no longer what you were, but not yet what you're becoming. Will you honor this process, even when it feels like too much? Matthew chapter 17 verse 2 describes how Jesus took Peter, James, and John up the mountain. And he didn't just pray, he transfigured. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became light. What if your weirdness right now is the prelude to radiance? What if the tremors in your soul are preparing you for your own mountaintop moment? These waves pulsing through your system aren't random. They're sacred signals. Your body is being initiated into holding more light, more revelation, more authority. Let the shaking rise. Let the emotions move through. Don't suppress. Don't analyze. Don't medicate the mystery. Let the emergence complete itself. Because when the dust settles, you won't just feel different, you'll be different. You'll look at the old version of you and wonder how you ever fit inside such a small container. There's a portal open right now, not symbolic, not imaginary, but tangible in the spirit. It's a collision point, and it's time sensitive, the kind of window that shifts lifetimes. But you must choose. Are you willing to step forward without proof? Can you move before you're certain, trusting that your readiness has already been seen from above? Exodus chapter 3 verses 2 to 12 recounts how Moses stood before the burning bush. He wasn't given a map, he was given a moment, a divine appointment that didn't make sense, yet demanded obedience. Could this week be your burning bush moment? A disruption disguised as destiny in the Philippines. A school principal named Talia began waking at 3:33 a.m. with a clear inner voice saying only, "Prepare." She scribbled ideas in the dark. Within months, she launched an educational model that tripled literacy rates in rural areas. She had no strategy, only surrender. What if your restlessness holds encoded instructions? Author and mystic Clarissa Pinkola Estes once said, "We are all filled with a longing for the wild, for what is real." Her work taught millions to trust their inner alchemy. Your longing is not dysfunction, it's guidance. Could it be that your craving for more is proof that your soul is nearing its breakthrough? Romans chapter 12 verse 2 urges, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." This isn't theoretical, it's physiological. Your neurons are being rewired to host higher clarity. Your thoughts are becoming highways for the divine. But every thought you entertain either prepares you or prevents you from stepping into the next octave of your purpose. What beliefs are you still carrying that are too small for the future waiting at your doorstep? You're not waiting on destiny. Destiny is waiting on your decision. This week is not ordinary. It is encoded. Every prayer you've whispered, every tear you've shed, every storm you've survived has led to this convergence. Are you ready to say out loud what your soul has been screaming silently for years? Speak it now, I am ready. Release the past. Not because it was bad, but because it's no longer yours. Embrace the unknown. Not because it's safe, but because it's sacred. Trust the rising current. Trust the ache. Trust the burning. This is not chaos. This is calibration. A glacier doesn't surrender its ancient mass in a single moment. It fractures slowly, creaking under the weight of time, groaning with the strain of change, cracking open with deliberate precision before it yields to transformation. Beneath its crumbling facade, where ice once held rigid dominion, new rivers are born, wild, free, and alive, carving paths through stone and soil with unstoppable flow. That's you right now. Your old structures, the rigid frameworks of who you thought you had to be, are breaking apart, not to destroy you, but to make room for a current of divine energy to flow through you. You're not simply stepping into another week of routine existence. You're entering a sacred sequence, a divine rewrite of your story, a cosmic rebirth that reshapes not just your life, but the very essence of your being. The twist in this moment is profound. You're not merely becoming the person you hope to be, the one you cautiously dreamed of in quiet moments. You're becoming what you once feared was impossible, a radiant, unstoppable force of purpose, a vessel of light crafted for a destiny far greater than you dared imagine. You may feel as though the weight of the world rests heavily on your shoulders, pressing down with an intensity that leaves your body weary, your mind clouded in a fog of uncertainty, and your emotions surging like ocean waves crashing against unseen cliffs. But this heaviness is not collapse. It's contraction, the tightening before release. This is not the end of your strength. It's the final pressure before a breakthrough that will redefine your existence. What if the burden you feel isn't a sign of failure, but the friction of transformation? The grinding of old against new, as your soul expands faster than your body can yet comprehend. Every chosen vessel, every soul marked for a divine purpose, must be refined in the crucible of endurance before it can be fully revealed. Every elevation, every step toward your higher calling, demands resilience, a willingness to stand firm in the discomfort of growth. You're not faltering, you're being forged, shaped by a sacred process that prepares you for the magnitude of what's coming, what you're sensing now, that unshakable tension gripping your chest, the heaviness lingering behind your eyes, the strange tremors rippling through your body, is not dysfunction or weakness. It's divine preparation, a recalibration of your entire being. You're not breaking down under the weight of life. You're breaking open, splitting apart the layers that have confined you to reveal the light already shining within. That light is leaking through the cracks, faint at first, but growing brighter, a signal that your transformation is underway. Esther, chapter 4, verses 13 to 14 recounts how Esther, hidden in the opulence of a foreign palace, trembled in the tension of her divine moment. She didn't feel ready, her heart likely racing with fear and uncertainty. Yet the survival of her people depended on her courage to step forward. What if your weariness, your doubt, your exhaustion is not a sign of inadequacy, but evidence that the magnitude of your assignment is closer than you realize? What if you're mislabeling the labor pains of your spiritual rebirth as a breakdown, when they are, in fact, the birth of your destiny? This isn't burnout, though it may feel like it in moments of overwhelm. It's birthing, a sacred process of bringing forth something holy and new. You are carrying the weight of a sacred legacy, a purpose that transcends your individual life and touches the lives of others in ways you cannot yet see. That ache in your bones isn't fragility. It's the weight of a legacy taking root, anchoring itself in your being. Let the tears flow freely, without shame or restraint. Let the laughter burst forth. Even if it feels out of place, let the contradictions within you, grief and joy, fear and courage, dance together like thunderclouds and lightning bolts, illuminating the sky of your soul. This is not chaos, it's convergence, a divine alignment of every part of you coming together to form something new. You may find yourself waking in the middle of the night, heart pounding as if it's trying to speak. You may sense time bending, conversations turning into portals of revelation, seconds stretching into hours, dreams bleeding into the clarity of daylight. This isn't fantasy or illusion, it's frequency, a shift into a higher vibration where the divine is closer, more tangible. You've entered a sacred corridor where time folds, where destiny accelerates, and where the veil between the earthly and the eternal grows thin. Isaiah chapter 40 verse 31 promises, "Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles." You're not being stalled in this moment. You're being synchronized with a divine speed, a rhythm authorized by heaven itself. What once seemed distant, your dreams, your purpose, your answered prayers, is now rushing toward you like a river unleashed from a dam, its waters swift and unstoppable. Are you ready to receive what you stopped praying for because it felt too delayed, too far out of reach? In a small village in Uganda, a young boy named Emmanuel sketched intricate images in the dirt during church services, his hands moving as if guided by an unseen force. At first, the congregation thought he was distracted, lost in childish play, but a visitor, struck by the precision of his drawings, recognized that his symbols mirrored ancient Aramaic letters, a language unknown to the boy. Years later, his village became the site of a school dedicated to spiritual language studies, built around the gift Emmanuel didn't even know he carried. He wasn't disobedient or unfocused, he was attuned, receiving divine downloads in a form others couldn't yet understand. Could the distractions you've dismissed in your own life, the fleeting thoughts, the unexplainable urges, be divine messages you've misunderstood? waiting for you to recognize their sacred purpose. Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor, a Harvard-trained neuroanatomist, experienced a stroke that silenced the logical chatter of her mind, plunging her into a stillness where she felt one with God. In that profound quiet, she described finding nirvana, a connection to the divine that transcended her physical limitations. Her recovery was not just a medical triumph, but a mystical journey, a rewiring of her inner world to align with a higher truth. What if your disorientation, your moments of feeling lost or unsteady, isn't disorder but a divine recalibration of your spirit? Acts chapter 2 verses 1 to 4 describes how the early church gathered in one accord, waiting in a quiet upper room when the Holy Spirit descended like fire, transforming them in an instant. That outpouring didn't happen in frantic motion or striving. It happened in presence, in surrender to the moment. Right now, your nervous system is syncing with the frequency of your divine assignment. Your cells are learning to hold revelation without short-circuiting, to carry the weight of divine truth without breaking. This is a calibration of spirit, mind, and body, a sacred alignment preparing you for what's next. Will you stay alert in the waiting, trusting the process even when it feels overwhelming? This is the storm before your elevation, a tempest that isn't meant to destroy but to clear the way. Storms are not punishments, they are passages, gateways to higher ground. The thunder you feel rumbling in your chest isn't a threat, it's a trumpet, heralding the arrival of your calling. Time is moving differently now, bending and stretching in ways that defy logic. You may feel like you're surfing an invisible wave, carried by a force you can't see but can't deny. That's because you are. When the spirit moves faster than your mind can process, the only option is surrender, a letting go that allows you to flow with the divine current. Watch how hummingbirds move impossibly fast. Their wings a blur, yet they remain in perfect control. They don't race against the wind, they align with it, letting it lift them to where they need to be. You are being taught to live at light speed, to move with divine precision without losing clarity. This isn't adrenaline pumping through your veins, it's anointing, a sacred empowerment that enables you to navigate this accelerated season with grace. Every lesson that once took a year to learn is now arriving in the span of a week. Every truth you sidestepped, every question you avoided, is now demanding your attention with an urgency that cannot be ignored. Every seed you planted, whether in prayer, in quiet acts of faith, or in moments of unseen sacrifice, is sprouting, breaking through the soil of your life with vibrant new growth. But with this acceleration comes a weight of responsibility. Stay vigilant, guarding your heart against distractions that once seemed harmless, but now threaten to derail you. Stay pure, letting go of patterns that once brought comfort, but now confine you to an outdated version of yourself. Are you ready to release what no longer aligns with the season you're entering? You'll find yourself drawn into sacred conversations, unplanned yet destined, words that feel like they were scripted by heaven itself. You'll meet people who resonate like echoes of your soul, their presence stirring a recognition that transcends time. You'll encounter signs and synchronicities so precise they feel like hidden messages. woven into the fabric of your days. Don't dismiss them as coincidence. Don't overthink them into oblivion. Just flow, trusting the divine rhythm guiding you. Isaiah chapter 43 verse 19 declares, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? This new thing isn't just happening around you. It's unfolding within you. A transformation that's no longer waiting, but arriving with undeniable force. This isn't just another week. It's a spiritual acceleration chamber. A sacred corridor bridging who you were and who you were prophesied to become. Let go of the clock, with its rigid ticking and demands for control. Let go of your need to understand every step before you take it. Let go of the fear that whispers, "This is too much, too fast." You were built for this moment, designed to carry this divine frequency. Your future isn't a distant someday. It's now, unfolding in real time. Something unusual is about to happen. Not loud or dramatic, not visible to the world, but unmistakably real in the realm of the spirit. One morning, you'll wake and feel the weight lifted, the heaviness gone, the sadness you carried like a second skin, clinging to your every step, will no longer sting. The doubts that once echoed like a chorus in your mind will fade into whispers, barely audible. You'll pause and wonder what changed. Nothing around you will look different because the shift didn't come from the external world. It came from within. You let go. You stopped clutching old identities, inherited shame, outdated truths that no longer fit the vastness of who you're becoming. The release was so profound that your body, your spirit, your entire being finally exhaled, free at last. Could it be that your freedom was always waiting for your permission, for your willingness to release what no longer serves you? The ache in your back, the tingling in your arms, the fatigue that strikes mid-sentence. These aren't signs of weakness or failure. They are sacred signals, evidence of a soul in the midst of a divine detox. Your being is purging not just physical toxins, but emotional debris. Memories of pain, generational burdens, beliefs you absorbed without question, carrying them like breath you didn't know you could release. This is a cleansing of the deepest kind, a clearing of space for the light to flood in and take root. You're not falling apart, you're making room for the divine to flow through you, unhindered and unstoppable. This is not illness, this is clearing. Your body is purging density to make room for light. Can you allow the ache without labeling it wrong? Luke chapter 8 verses 43 to 48 recounts the woman with the issue of blood who touched the hem of Jesus' garment. She didn't scream or ask, she reached, and healing flowed. Her miracle wasn't loud, it was aligned. What if your healing doesn't require effort, but frequency? In the next few days, you might feel dreamy, floaty, even untethered, not because you're escaping, but because you're arriving into higher awareness, into 5D divine flow. Don't try to fix it. Don't rush to ground it. Your spirit has been waiting lifetimes for this release. You're not drifting, you're ascending. The old rules don't apply here. You're not becoming someone else. You're returning to who you were before the world taught you to shrink. That peace rising in your chest, that clarity you can't quite explain, that unshakable knowing even in the middle of the unknown. That's your rebirth. You are being unchained, unburdened, unprogrammed when the last remnant of the old you dissolves. What remains will feel eternal. What if this isn't the end of a chapter, but the beginning of the real you? 2 Corinthians chapter 3 verse 17 declares, "Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom." This freedom isn't a mood or forced positivity. It's not escape. It's revelation. It's stepping into soul authenticity so powerful that even your ancestors sigh with relief. Do you realize how many lifetimes longed for what you're now embodying in Nigeria? A boy named Isaiah wrote down number sequences from his dreams. 331177. His mother dismissed them until a missionary noticed they matched biblical references, forming a prophetic message when read in order. Isaiah didn't strive to be spiritual. He simply heeded the signs. Are you watching closely enough to catch heaven's whispers? Steve Harvey, beloved comedian and speaker, shared how he saw 555 on clocks and documents for years before his breakthrough. He called it a divine code, saying trusting those signs changed everything. Could your recurring numbers be more than chance? Perhaps angelic breadcrumbs. God doesn't always shout. Sometimes he speaks through a glance at a receipt, a license plate, a song lyric piercing you mid-drive. These aren't random, they're woven. Every synchronicity is a pulse from eternity, a nudge from the divine. Jeremiah chapter 33 verse 3 promises, "Call to me, and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know." What if the answers you seek are already speaking, not in words, but in alignment? Nature speaks too. Before migration, monarch butterflies gather in silence, sensing an unseen signal to rise. They don't rush, they respond. You're feeling that same pull, a quiet urgency to move, to follow a lighted path, even if its destination is unclear. Can you trust what you can't yet name? In a Greek town, a woman named Thalia kept a notebook of odd phrases and symbols, numbers, dreams, overheard words. Years later, it became the blueprint for a spiritual center guiding thousands. She didn't wait for approval. She listened, recorded, and trusted. So start writing. Speak what you hear. Follow what feels aligned. Your path is unfolding through each sacred sign. Don't dismiss the whispers, the numbers, the dreams. What if they're parts of a map you didn't know you needed? The veil is thinning. Your guides are speaking. Your ancestors are closer than ever. Doubt's time has passed. You're not being tested. You're being led. If you listen, follow, trust, you'll arrive at something more beautiful than you imagined. The fire is coming, not to destroy, but to awaken. It will surge like warmth in your chest, a spark tracing your spine, a quiver in your fingertips. It won't feel like fear. It will feel like purpose breaking through your bones. This isn't panic or sickness. It's ignition. The divine flame, dormant for generations, is stepping forward. Can you feel it humming beneath your ribs? That ancient voice saying, "It's time you've walked through silence and doubt." But God isn't whispering now. He's roaring within you. You're not being nudged. You're being set ablaze. This fire brings an intensity you can't control, only surrender to, you'll feel more alive, more charged, more urgent than ever. Are you ready to burn with a flame that won't be tamed? This fire isn't chaos, it's a catalyst. Boldness will rise unbidden. Words will flow with startling clarity. Your hands will yearn to create, your spirit to serve, your mind to dream vividly. Is this madness? No. It's your spirit taking the lead. The chosen, sealed, called, you stepping into full expression. Jeremiah chapter 20 verse 9 recounts how Jeremiah tried to hold back his words, confessing, "His word is in my heart like a fire shut up in my bones. I am weary of holding it in. Indeed, I cannot." What if your fire isn't optional? What if suppressing it caused your sadness all along? You may find yourself overcome with tears for no apparent reason, bursting into laughter in the midst of a whispered prayer, or letting out a spontaneous shout in moments of serene quiet. Don't rush to label these moments as irrational or try to escape them. This is your soul in the act of purging, cleansing itself of burdens it has carried for far too long. Its inner tides are shifting, moving with a rhythm that feels both unfamiliar and sacred. These waves of emotion are not setbacks, they are releases, each one peeling away layers of pain, doubt, and heaviness that have clung to you like shadows. Every tear that falls is a holy offering, a sacred drop, carrying away sorrow and making space for light. Every tremble that courses through your body is truth breaking free, rising from the depths where it was buried under years of silence and suppression. You've carried guilt, some yours, some inherited, betrayal from others and yourself, ancestral pain passed down through generations, and hidden shame you wore like invisible armor, protecting you but also weighing you down now, under the intense heat of a divine fire. That armor is melting, dissolving into nothingness, revealing the radiant, unburdened essence of who you truly are. 2 Samuel chapter 6 verses 14 to 22 describes how David danced before the ark, undignified to men but holy to heaven. His movements were not restrained by the expectations of others. They were an outpouring of his soul's devotion. Will you allow your body to move as if your very healing depends on it? Will you let yourself cry out, weep openly, spin in circles, or groan deeply to release the shadows that have haunted your lineage, clearing the way for a flood of divine light to fill the spaces where pain once resided? In a quiet village nestled in the hills of Argentina, a woman named Marisol wandered the streets each night, driven by an inexplicable energy that seemed to pull at her very spine, as if her body was a conduit for something greater. One fateful evening, overwhelmed by this unseen force, she collapsed in the middle of a dirt road, her body shaking with uncontrollable sobs. A compassionate neighbor, sensing her distress, gently guided her to safety, offering warmth and comfort. That strange, vulnerable moment, raw and unfiltered, became the spark for months of emotional and spiritual purging, a transformative process that reshaped her entire existence. From that breakdown, Marisol emerged with a renewed sense of purpose, and today she runs a sanctuary for women healing from trauma, a haven where others find solace in their own journeys of release. What if the breakdown you fear, the moment you dread as collapse, is not the end but the gateway to the life you were always destined to lead? Embrace the fire stirring within you. Let it burn through your hesitation, your need for external approval, your fear of being too much, too intense, too alive. This fire is not here to consume you. It is here to incinerate what was never yours to carry. Old wounds, outdated identities, chains that have bound you to a smaller version of yourself. You were not created to live in restraint, to dim your light to fit the expectations of a world afraid of brilliance. You were made to glow, to radiate with a divine intensity that cannot be contained. Luke chapter 22 verse 44 recounts how Jesus, in the agony of Gethsemane, sweated blood before his greatest breakthrough. The fire of purpose burns most fiercely just before the moment of transformation. Could your restlessness, the unease that keeps you awake at night, be not a sign of weakness, but the sacred combustion of a soul awakening to its true calling? Beyoncé, reflecting on her groundbreaking Coachella performance in her documentary Homecoming, shared a profound truth: I had to rebuild myself, mind, body, and spirit. Her fire was not a spectacle for the stage. It was deeply rooted in her identity, forged in the crucible of grief, relentless effort, and the courage to rise anew from personal struggles. Her radiance wasn't born from chasing the spotlight, but from embracing the raw, authentic truth of who she was, even when it meant rebuilding herself from the ground up. Her journey was one of surrender to her purpose, to her pain, to the divine calling that pulsed within her. Could your own fire be kindled in a similar way? Not in the glare of public acclaim, but in the quiet, sacred moments of surrender to your true self. Picture a forest after a wildfire sweeps through it. Doesn't perish in the flames. It regenerates, reborn from the ashes, seeds, long buried beneath the earth, crack open in the intense heat, giving rise to vibrant new life where destruction once reigned. That's you right now. Your soul has reached the critical temperature of transformation, a divine threshold where the old is burned away to make room for the new. The heat you feel, emotional, spiritual, even physical, is not punishment, it's preparation. Will you trust this sacred heat to complete its work, to refine you into the fullness of who you were always meant to be? A vessel of light and purpose in a world craving both. Write down the thoughts swirling in your mind. Let your grief pour out in raw, unfiltered shouts. Dance wildly in the privacy of your living room, or lie flat on the floor, letting your body express what words alone cannot capture. Let your hands tremble as they journal. Let your voice crack as it speaks. Let your feet move to a rhythm only your soul understands. When this process is complete, you won't simply feel better, you'll be transformed. A new version of yourself emerging from the crucible of divine fire. This isn't emotional chaos or a fleeting breakdown. It's soul surgery, a sacred operation that strips away the false layers you've accumulated to reveal the truth of who you've always been. When it's done, you'll step forward lighter, clearer, more aligned with your divine purpose than ever before. Your outer world will begin to shift in response, as if heaven itself is rearranging reality to match the purified state of your inner being. Relationships will transform. Some will deepen, others will fade. Opportunities will unfold. Doors will swing open, and time itself will seem to bend, aligning with the rhythm of your awakened spirit. Life will feel less like a battle and more like a melody, a song of purpose that flows effortlessly from your core. Can you trust the heat to restore the song of your soul, to bring forth the music that has been waiting to be sung? You are not a victim of this fire. You are its carrier, its vessel, its beacon. When the smoke clears, the world will not see your struggles or your scars. They will see the radiant light you carry, a divine glow that illuminates the path for others. You are not just surviving this fire, you are becoming it, a living flame of truth and transformation in a world desperate for both. A strange pull is beginning to surface within you, not confusion, but remembrance, a deep knowing that stirs in the quiet corners of your soul. As you step into spaces that feel eerily familiar, as strangers spark ancient echoes in your spirit, know that you're not imagining it. You're awakening to something eternal. That sense of déjà vu isn't mere repetition. It's recognition, a whisper from the divine that your soul has walked these paths before, in lifetimes, in realms, in moments beyond the grasp of reason. The veil between the seen and unseen is lifting, and memories long buried are returning to the surface. Do you feel that ache in your chest? That quiet whisper saying, "I've been here before, but this time is different." You're not broken or lost. You're recalling the truth of who you are. Your spirit is murmuring, "You were made for this." Why do certain phrases resonate so deeply, as if they were carved into your bones before you were born? Why do some dreams feel more real, more vivid, than the waking hours you spend navigating the world? What if your path isn't new but was chosen long ago, woven into the fabric of your being, perfectly aligned with the calling that has always been yours? Daniel, chapter 7, verses 1 to 28, describes how Daniel's troubling dreams and visions, misunderstood by those around him, were divine messages meant to guide and reveal. Could the vivid images that dance in your sleep be more than fleeting fantasies? Could they be wisdom encoded for this very hour? Sacred fragments of a greater mission reactivating within you. In the days ahead, time may feel like it's folding in on itself, bending in ways that defy explanation. Conversations will seem scripted, as if orchestrated by an unseen hand. Symbols, numbers, signs, fleeting images will stir your spine, sending shivers of recognition through your being. The veil between past and present, human and holy, is thinner now than ever before. Don't dismiss these moments as coincidence or nostalgia. They are destiny reminding you that it never forgot you. In a small village in Peru, a young man named Mateo awoke night after night, haunted by music in his dreams, melodies he'd never heard but could hum with perfect clarity. Compelled to write them down, he filled pages with notes that, years later, researchers discovered matched the frequencies of ancient temple rituals, vibrations used to connect with the divine. Are the memories stirring in you yours alone? Or are they echoes of a larger mission, a purpose that transcends time? These aren't hallucinations or tricks of the mind. They're activations. Divine signals awakening the parts of you that have been waiting for this moment. Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5 reaffirms, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." What if you're not searching for your path but remembering it? Step by sacred step. Oprah Winfrey. Speaking to a graduating class, declared, "Your calling is not just what you do, it's who you are." She didn't chase fame or external validation. She followed the quiet pull of alignment, and her destiny found her when she surrendered to it. Is your striving, your relentless pursuit of answers, approval, or certainty, blocking the grace that is already yours? Your energy is becoming magnetic now, not because of effort, but because you're clearing the noise that once drowned out your truth. You once chased attention, validation, connection, running yourself ragged in pursuit of what you thought you needed. But chasing exhausts the soul. Now, in stillness, you draw what chaos once repelled. Can you let what's meant for you find you without forcing it? Without bending yourself to fit the world's expectations? Matthew chapter 4 verses 1 to 11 recounts how Jesus, in the wilderness, didn't strive to prove himself but stayed aligned, refusing to turn stones to bread to satisfy a fleeting challenge. Alignment, not approval, is where true power flows. Could your discipline, your choice to trust, to wait, to align, unlock the divine timing that has been waiting for you in nature? Sunflowers don't chase the sun. They turn toward it naturally, by design, their faces following its light to thrive. That same energy is rising within you, a quiet but unshakable urge to turn toward the divine, to align with the source of your strength. Will you face the light and let what's yours find its way home? You may wake at 1:11 or 4:4, see repeating numbers on clocks, receipts, or license plates. Feel inexplicably drawn to unfamiliar places or people. This isn't superstition or coincidence. It's synchronization, a divine orchestration aligning you with your higher self, your spirit team, your creator, all whispering in unison, remember who you are. You're not merely entering a new season, you're stepping into a timeline that has been awaiting your awareness, a path prepared before you took your first breath. This isn't your first time at this mountain, but now you climb with fire in your bones, wisdom guiding your hands, and heaven filling your lungs. You're becoming magnetic, a beacon of divine energy. You don't need to run, convince, or plead for what's yours. Just be still, be aligned, be whole. What once seemed out of reach will find you, not because you chased it, but because you became the version of yourself it was always meant to meet. And now, beloved chosen one, the journey of remembering has reached its sacred completion. What once stirred faintly within your soul, like a soft whisper echoing through the darkness of uncertainty, has erupted into a revelation so powerful it demands to be heard, felt, and lived. No longer do you hover on the edges of awakening, teetering between doubt and possibility. You are fully immersed in it, standing boldly, unapologetically, and eternally in the truth of who you are. Every sign you've encountered, those fleeting moments of synchronicity, the numbers that appeared again and again, the dreams that felt more real than daylight, every tear you've shed in quiet moments of surrender, every fire that has burned within you through seasons of doubt and struggle. None of it was random or without purpose. It was a divine rehearsal, a meticulous preparation for this exact moment when your soul steps fully into its sacred assignment. You are not stumbling blindly into the unknown, lost in a maze of questions. You are walking confidently into what your spirit has always known, what your heart has always recognized as the truth etched into your very being. You were born for this precise hour, crafted with intention to fulfill a purpose that resonates beyond your life. You did not come to follow the well-worn paths carved by others, nor to fade into the shadows of a world content with slumber. You came to flame, to burn with a radiant purpose that shifts the very fabric of reality, igniting transformation in yourself and those around you. You are the divine interruption in a world lulled into complacency by routine and distraction. You are the voice that dares to speak truth when silence feels safer, cutting through the noise with clarity that resonates like a bell in the stillness. You are the light that pierces through the darkest shadows, illuminating what has been hidden and revealing what is possible. You are the crack in the veil where heaven itself breaks through, a conduit for divine energy to flow into a world desperate for hope. Every shift you felt, the vivid dreams that linger in your mind like messages from another realm, the searing heat in your chest that feels like both pain and power, the relentless pressure of transformation pushing against your old boundaries, the deep longing for something greater than what you've known. All of it has been leading you to this sacred threshold. Now, the choice is yours, and it is monumental. Will you cling to the old version of safety, the familiar but constricting shell you've outgrown, the comfort that no longer fits the vastness of your spirit? Or will you rise, bold and unafraid, into the new blueprint etched upon your soul by the hand of the Creator? The doors of destiny have swung wide open, beckoning you forward. The divine codes within you, those sparks of purpose, those whispers of calling, have been activated, pulsing with a life of their own. This timeline is not patient. It will not linger. The portals you choose to walk through in these coming days will shape not only your future, but the legacies you leave behind, ripples that will touch generations yet to come. So speak with the fire of unshakable conviction, letting your words carry the weight of truth that has been forged in the furnace of your journey. Walk with the steady, sacred rhythm of holiness, each step grounded in the assurance that you are guided by a higher power. Rest without the burden of guilt, trusting that pause is not weakness, but a sacred recalibration, a moment to align with the divine. Love with the boldness of one who knows eternity is watching, because it is. With every angel, every ancestor, every unseen force bearing witness to your courage, if you felt alone in this journey, carrying the weight of your calling in solitude, know that you are never truly alone. This space, this message, this sacred calling, it is a sanctuary for souls like yours, souls that burn with a divine spark that refuses to be dimmed. If these words have stirred something ancient, something sacred deep within you, I invite you to act in the realm where it matters most. Like this video, so that others, searching for their own spark, may find it and awaken. Share it with someone whose soul is crying out for a glimpse of truth, a reminder of their own divine purpose. Comment below your voice, your story. Your presence carries more weight than you may ever know, a testament to the power within you. Subscribe and turn on the bell, ensuring you never miss another divine moment, another whisper from heaven crafted specifically for you, calling you deeper into your purpose. May you walk in radiant light, your path illuminated by the clarity of divine guidance, each step a testament to your alignment with the Creator's plan. May your spirit remain open, wild, and fiercely holy, unyielding in its pursuit of truth and love. And may you always, always remember you are chosen, not by chance but by divine design, and you are becoming everything you were sent here to be, a beacon of light, a vessel of purpose, a flame that burns eternal. Amen.